Have you ever read a book that was life-changing? Well, I've compiled a list of my 7 favorite business books that allowed me to scale my business to over $10 million a year and landed me number 87 on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies in America. And I'm going to be breaking down all of these books in this video, and you're going to want to stay to the end because I'm going to show you 3 bonus books that are also going to help your business grow. Let's dive in. So the first book that I have is probably one of my favorite books that I have ever read in business. It is The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, and it dives into how you need to think of your business as an infinite game. Not just playing to win or, admit that you could lose in a specific period of time, but actually playing a game for the long term. It talks about companies like Apple that really thought ahead and said, how can we play a game so that we are infinitely around for the long term? We're building an infinite-minded business. And this is something that I have instilled not just in myself, but in my entire team, making decisions not just for the long term, because the long term also admits that there is a deadline or an end time, but making decisions that are infinite-minded decisions. How can I ensure that my business, my legacy, everything that I'm building lasts infinitely? That's what this book is all about, and if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. This is my favorite book by Simon Sinek. He's got some other incredible books as well. Start With Why is another great book, but I highly recommend reading The Infinite Game. The next book that I have is Think and Grow Rich. Now, this is one of my favorite books and also one of the most powerful books that you can read, because this shows you that you have the power in yourself, in your mind, to control your own destiny. The greatest people of our history all had ideas, they had thoughts that allowed them to achieve the greatest things in life. And it talks about some seemingly simple principles that you can apply in the right ways to ensure that you achieve your goals, your dreams, your desires, right? Having that burning desire of what you're looking to achieve and making that a reality. Now, this book is very powerful, but it's the most powerful when you truly understand it. So the way not to read this book is not just to go cover to cover. I actually read this book a long time ago, and I read it, I thought it was great, but then I kind of put it aside. Recently, I had a mindset coach that had me go through individually each chapter, analyzing it, only really reading a few pages at a time. That's when you can really absorb the book and dive deeper into all of its principles. Not just principles around desire, but also auto-suggestion. There's a lot of amazing things within this book, and I really recommend digesting it and reading it slowly over time. The next book that I have is essentially the Marketer's Bible. This is Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, and this book covers some of the greatest marketing and advertising campaigns and strategies that has been used in direct response, copywriting, marketing, literally for generations. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you are in marketing at all, or even just in business in general, understanding the greatest concepts behind marketing and advertising. Now, whenever I'm looking for some inspiration, maybe I'm coming up with a new marketing campaign, I like to open up Breakthrough Advertising, take a look. You can honestly just open up the book, flip to a certain page, and then read something incredibly valuable on that page. Now, Breakthrough Advertising used to be out of print, but it was actually republished by a good friend of mine, Brian Kurtz. He runs Titans Mastermind. He is a legend in the direct response copywriting space, and he actually set out to publish this book. Now, the book used to sell on Amazon for, I think, thousands of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. He actually published it individually. I'll put the link down there in the description below, but this book is worth its weight in gold, and I highly recommend picking it up if you're anything to do with business, entrepreneurship, especially if you're a marketer. It covers some of the most timeless principles around marketing and advertising. The next book I have is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is actually the very first book that I read within the world of personal development, and it really holds an amazing sentimental place in my heart. It's the principles by Dale Carnegie on how to live your life, on how to make friends, on how to be successful in life and business, essentially by being the best person you can possibly be. Dale Carnegie went through and he interviewed some of the greatest titans of industry, presidents, some of the top people in the world at the time, and he found these common threads and these common principles between all of those high performers and high achievers, and he wrote them down. And what you'll find in this book is incredibly interesting, because what it shows is the best people, right, aren't what the media or other things might have you believe. They're actually truly genuine, kind, humble, nice people that are looking to help other people succeed. And that's what you'll read about in this book. And that is honestly what I have seen attending events with 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs, even meeting people who have built billion-dollar companies. When I meet people like that, I see them embodying the principles in this book more often than not, 99 times out of 100. And so I highly recommend, if you're looking to learn, how can I actually become the type of person that I need to become to be successful, right, and have other people be attracted to the type of person I am, I would read this book. I actually have the principles. My brother got it for me as a Christmas gift on a poster that I have right there in my bedroom. I look at that each day, or it's kind of in my environment that I get a chance to look at, right? And so whenever I see it, it has a reminder of all of these principles to live your life by. It's a great book. Highly recommend reading it. And if you haven't read it recently, it's definitely worth a reread. If you're looking to make an incredible change in your life or in your business or both, I highly recommend reading Atomic Habits. This book talks about how those small changes you make, those small habits that you make, actually compound and have a massive impact in your life. One of the big concepts in this book that is revolutionary when you really start to think about it is if you just improve yourself 1% every day, that compounds to between 37 to 38 times growth over the course of an entire year. Think about that. Just 1% every day, you'll become more than 37 times better over the course of an entire year. This really talks about all of those small changes you can make in your habits that have a lasting impact on your life and business. This is a great first book to read if you're really looking for, what am I going to be able to do to make a big change in my life or business starting today. The next book that I have is Psycho-Cybernetics. Now, this is a really powerful book that really shows you how you can use the power of your subconscious mind and your own mind to achieve the goals and outcomes you're looking to have in life. Now, this dives into more of a science, practical approach to a lot of the concepts that are talked about in Think and Grow Rich, but it takes more of a subconscious mind approach for how you can actually program your mind to get what you want. Now, this book is very powerful and impactful. It's actually one of the first books that I read when I joined a mastermind. It was given out as a gift. I got this many years ago now, and it is a very powerful, impactful book. And it's a little bit, not as many people seem to know about it as much anymore as they used to. So I highly recommend picking up this book if you're looking to program your subconscious mind to achieve the goals and desires that you're looking to have. The next book that I have is John Maxwell's 5 Levels of Leadership. Now, I could put one of many different John Maxwell books in this list, but this is probably the most impactful book, and it's one that I'm starting to reread right now because I think it's going to be a big difference maker in me scaling my business from $10 million to $30 million and beyond. So what this book talks about is the different levels of leadership that you can develop, and then you can also create in other people in your organization. So it talks about how there's 5 different levels. The first starts with just in general position, right? So somebody has a position of leadership. Then they kind of get the permission to be a leader, right? So people are looking up to them. They actually consider them to be that leader that they are. Then as they continue to grow, they start to produce those results. Then they become a leader that can actually create other leaders. So you can become a leader that creates other leaders. That's a level 4 leader, right? So you can actually go out and replicate your ability to create leaders, and then you have other leaders within your organization, and they grow, and that's kind of the point that we've been at. But now there's another level where you can create leaders that create other leaders. That's the level 5 leadership, and that honestly is one of the most powerful powerful things that you can do in business within leadership, because if you can create leaders that have the power and ability to create other leaders without you, then you're really building an organization that can continue to grow and play that infinite game we talked about earlier in the first book we talked about, right? If you can duplicate your ability, not just to be a leader, but to create leaders, imagine the impact that will have on your business. That's something I'm focusing on right now. I've done a really good job up till this point developing other leaders, but now what I want to do is empower my leaders to create more leaders on their own teams, and that's going to have an exponential impact on our business. And so I highly recommend picking up this book. Now, if you're looking for a first dive into John Maxwell and leadership, I do recommend Leader Shift, which talks about some of the key changes to make when you first become that leader, you truly become that leader yourself. That's some of the changes that you need to make to become a leader. And then this book would be a great additional book to read right after that. That's going to allow you to become that level 5 leader that not only develops other leaders, but develops leaders that can create leaders. And that truly allows you to play that infinite game we talked about earlier. So now I have 3 bonus books that impacted my business and life. I'm gonna be diving into these in just a second, but make sure that you like this video and share it with a friend that wants to know about some of the best books that's gonna help them as well. That really helps to support us, helps share this video with more people that need to see it. And also let me know in the comments down below what your favorite business books are as well. All right, let's dive into the 3 bonus books. So the next book that I have is The Entrepreneurial Personality Type. Now, this book was written by a good friend of mine and mentor, Alec Sharfin, and this book, I think, distills what it means to be an entrepreneur probably better than any other book that I have read so far. Now, I remember when I first started listening to Alec Sharfin and met Alec Sharfin. He's out here in Austin, another Austin-based entrepreneur. I remember having him talk about this concept of the evolutionary hunter, right? And that entrepreneurs are those prime movers, those entrepreneurial evolutionary hunters that go out and have a big idea and they make things happen. They're hardwired to make changes in the world and pursue aggressively with an intensity a specific goal or outcome. Similar to how back in the caveman days, maybe if they're going out for a big hunt, they are aggressively and persistently pursuing that prey. And then rewarding and feeding the rest of the village. And so this is a really powerful book that talks about how, the reason that you are different as an entrepreneur, you feel like you're different, is it's actually how you are hardwired. And that it's okay to be different, to feel like you're different than other people, because it really is only that 1% of people that have these biological differences that it really instills in them that entrepreneurial drive and hunger. And so I really recommend reading this book. It's really done well. Alec Sharfin is a good friend and business mentor of mine as well. And it's also short. It's a very small book, but I felt very understood as an entrepreneur, and I know that you will too. So if you're an entrepreneur, I recommend picking this book up. I'll probably put the link down there below on this book as well. The next book that I have is more of a life-changing book and a life-based book, but I think it's so important, especially as an entrepreneur, to read books like this, to really understand that it's important to love and respect yourself. The book is called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Kamal Ravikant. He's also a good friend and an absolutely amazing person. And he put together this book where it talks about some of the struggles and challenges that he had when he lost a business, had some health issues, had certain things all happen at the same time in his life, and he had to come back to this concept of loving himself. And he had to find the things that were going to allow him to really love himself, where he was able to dive into meditation, different practices, different techniques that allowed him to know that it's important to actually love yourself. Obviously, as entrepreneurs, we're all striving to do these incredible big things, but we need to have an identity that's also separated from that, an identity that allows us to love ourselves for who we are and understand that even if challenges or things come up, that it's just things that are going to allow us to grow and become better versions of ourselves, and really focus on loving ourselves for who we are in the journey that we're on, really loving the journey. So I recommend reading this book, and I do really think it's powerful for you to understand that side of things as well. Obviously, a lot of these other books we talk about some of the strategies, tactics, these business changing principles, but it's important to also understand the life skills, the life principles that that are going to allow you to grow. So I recommend picking up this book. Kamal does a really good job diving into it, and I've recommended this to several people on our team, and all of them have said just how impactful this book has been on them personally, in addition to some of the other business books we talked about on the business side. The final book that I have is The Daily Stoic. This is actually a book that you can read every day, and it's just 1 page a day, and it comes with daily meditations that you can read from some of the top Stoics that have existed in the past, where they dive in, they share an individual meditation, a quote, and then what Ryan Holiday does is he actually expands on it and shows you how to think about and really interpret and understand each quote, right? And so you can actually read a quote, you can read what the theme of that particular day is, and there's also individual themes within the book as well, and then Ryan Holiday will actually expand on that underneath. This is a great way to grow your daily Stoic practice each day if you're looking to really get into Stoicism and show up from that neutral place each day so that you can approach things instead of reacting, actually training your mind to approach things each day from a neutral stance, from a Stoic stance. It's a really valuable book. I also wanted to give an honorable mention to The Obstacle is the Way. It's another Ryan Holiday book. It's actually the first book that I read when some of the craziness started happening a couple of years ago, and it was one of the very first books that I read during that time. I had read it previously, but I picked it up again, and it's a great book when there's challenges, especially if there's external challenges that you don't have as much control over, because things are happening for you, not to you. And The Obstacle is the Way is talking about how can you look at all of the different things that are happening through the eyes of, and he references different Stoics, but how can you look at different things that are happening and apply it and actually make it a positive? So during that time when a lot of businesses were shutting down, things were happening in the world, what I thought about is I read that book and I said, what? I need to double down because I help people with online videos and grow their businesses. This is what people need right now. The obstacle is the way. And that book was really impactful as well. If this list was even longer, I would have thrown that up in there. But The Daily Stoic is a great way to apply those principles on a day-to-day basis. And I really love these daily books. I've got a few of them. There's also, a Maxwell daily reader. There's, daily meditations books. I do like opening those up to get that daily dose of inspiration each day, or a daily dose of stoicism each day. It's a great way to continue the practice even after you've read a particular book, like let's say Obstacle is the Way or a different book like that. I hope you found this video valuable on my favorite business books. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite business books are. I'd love to see what has had the biggest impact in your life and your business. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have lots more content just like this coming out every single week. So subscribe and turn on that bell notification icon so you never miss a video. Also, be sure to like and share this video with somebody else that maybe needs that inspiration for those next great business books to read. And if you want more help or resources on scaling your business, I'll put the links in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.